That's what you're looking for. The highest, truest expression of yourself as a human.
We need to be open-minded. We need to be fluent. Look for alternatives and not for the correct answer. Because when you think creatively, there's no single correct answer. There are many possible alternatives.
The windows to these other senses, sight, taste, touch, suddenly turn on, and sound seems to take a back seat to this. We are primarily visual creatures. That has to do with our evolutionary past. I think something like a third of the brain is in some form dedicated to processing visual information, and a much, much, much smaller part of the brain is dedicated to processing sound. It's still significant, but nothing in comparison. However, the fascinating thing is that our consciousness is developing against a background of sound. So we become conscious in the womb in some way, and we become conscious in the presence of sound. So that our consciousness is, at the moment of birth, there is something already there that has been analyzing the world and reacting to it in some preformed way. And it's that intelligence, that consciousness, however primitive it is by our later evolution, that then analyzes the world. So that I think this goes some way to explaining for me why sound plays the emotional role that it does, because when it touches us, and music is the best example of this, it touches us in a place that is very hard to articulate in terms of words. We can talk a lot about visual things. We can analyze them visually, but it's very hard for human beings to talk about sound with words. I think because the sound and our basic consciousness are inexplicably, inextricably tied up together. This happens to all of us, and not all of us become musicians, or in my case, somebody who works creatively in sound. So it's not a determining factor. My mother did sing to me in the womb, she told me, and I remember that song. That song that she sang, which was My Darling Clementine, has a peculiar quality to me when I hear it, because I heard it before I knew that who I was, or that there was anything other than me, and that my mother existed. It was just something in the environment. So this is my own base ground, and I think about things in that way. But as I said, this is something that is common to all humanity. We all emerge into consciousness in this.
I have tons of ideas and concepts and things I want to do, and specific ideas lend themselves to specific mediums, right? So a lot of times I'll have a movie idea and I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. It's great. I love it. And it's because it's not a movie, it's a TV show.
Okay.
And then as soon as I let my mind open to that idea being a TV show, instantly it goes.
Okay.
Right? So
most of my notes are not for anyone else's, for anyone else's use. Like I hear about something that's interesting to me and I think about, okay, I want to learn more about this, whatever it is. And then sometimes those things work their way into things I'm doing because the universe seems to work in that way. But I rarely am learning something with the idea of using it. I learn things with the idea of, this is what I want to know. This is what's interesting to me.
That is why. And it makes all the little details that matter to me so much, it makes them all make so much sense, because that is the core of what it is. I just feel like everything after this is going to be so much easier to create, because now I have my core I have the core values of creation. I know why I'm doing this. I know what I'm addicted to. I'm addicted to the encounter. That's why, bro. Like, that's why I haven't dropped a project yet. That's why, because the encounter isn't done. The experience isn't done. Like, that's why I make music the way that I do, and I talk about the things that I do, and I approach it the way that I do, because there's a certain experience and encounter that you have to have, in this resonance that I have to have in my art. I just feel so proud. Like, I'm just like, oh my God. Bitch, I cracked the motherfucking code. Ah! All right.
See right off the bat. And I think there's like a very thoughtful group of people who are, you know, the kind of people who read between the lines and know that like the stuff that people put out, it's not all about just rhyming words together or, you know, a simple melody. Like there's an intention that comes through. So I feel like it's met somewhere with a like-minded little group of people, and there's a lot of eclectic folks out there.
I don't just make music to craft. I really like put myself in a memory or an emotional place.
That's tough,
or
man.
Another person's place, and that's emotionally exhausting. I don't just.
You ain't gonna understand everything, and everything ain't meant for you to understand.